March 2025. The United States announces 25% tariffs on everything. China responds with counter-tariffs. The European Union freezes. Global trade, which had grown for 3 decades straight, just hit a wall. This isn't a trade war. This is the end of globalization as we know it. The world is splitting into 3 economic blocs: the American sphere, the Chinese sphere, and everyone stuck in between. The consequences? They're already happening. To understand globalization, we first need to understand where we came from. In 1989, the Berlin Wall fell. The Cold War ended, and the end of history was declared. At least Francis Fukuyama thought so. Free market economics had won. Liberal democracy would become the universal model. Over the next decade, the world underwent an incredible transformation. In 1995, the World Trade Organization was established. This wasn't just an institution, it was a declaration that the rules of trade would now be universal. When a country joined the WTO, it had to lower tariffs, accept foreign investment, and protect intellectual property rights. In 2001, China joined the WTO. This was perhaps the most critical moment in globalization. The world's most populous country was integrating into the global economy. The results were dramatic. In 1990, global trade was 39% of world GDP. By 2008, it reached 61%. Extreme poverty fell from 36% in 1990 to below 10% in 2015. Supply chains went global. Apple sourced from over 200 suppliers, most in Asia. The world had truly flattened. A US company could manufacture in China, assemble in Vietnam, and sell in Europe, all thanks to low tariffs, low shipping costs, and digital communication. This wasn't just an economic phenomenon. It was ideological. Globalization would bring peace. Countries that trade don't fight, the theory went. No 2 countries with a McDonald's ever went to war, the famous Golden Arches theory. But there was a problem. Globalization didn't work the same way for everyone. The 2008 financial crisis was the first major shock. America and Europe entered recession, but China and other emerging economies kept growing. For the first time, the West was no longer the engine of global growth. Then the political backlash began. In 2016, 2 events symbolized the revolt against globalization: Brexit and the election of Donald Trump. Both said the same thing. Globalization worked for elites, but not for ordinary people. The facts in America: between 2000 and 2016, the US lost 5 million manufacturing jobs. Regions known as the Rust Belt, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, were economically devastated. Cheap goods from China helped consumers but brought unemployment to factory workers. In their research, MIT economists David Autor and colleagues documented what they called the China shock. US regions exposed to Chinese imports experienced higher unemployment, saw lower wages, faced rising social problems, divorce, crime, drug use. Economists said, overall, everyone wins. But overall didn't work in some regions. Trump exploited this anger. His America First slogan was a direct challenge to globalization. During his first term, 2017-2021, Trump imposed 25% tariffs on goods from China, renegotiated NAFTA. It became USMCA, withdrew from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, criticized the WTO as useless. Most economists said this would hurt the economy, and they were right, partially. Tariffs raised consumer prices, but politically, it was popular. When Biden became president in 2021, he didn't remove most tariffs, he even increased some. Because now, both parties agreed on one thing: China is a threat. Fast forward to 2025. Trump is president again, and this time, he's more radical. March 2025. The US imposes a 25% universal tariff on all imports. Not just China, everyone. Canada, Mexico, the European Union, Japan, everyone. The rationale is simple. America has been exploited for too long. No more. China predictably retaliates, but not just with tariffs. China restricts rare earth element exports. These elements are critical in electric cars, smartphones, wind turbines, and 70% of the world's supply comes from China. Europe is caught in the middle. It can't fully align with America or with China. Germany sells cars to China. France is in the NATO alliance with the US. The European Union is fragmented. And so, 3 blocs emerge. Bloc 1, the American Sphere Core, US, Canada, Mexico, USMCA. Extensions, Japan, South Korea, Australia, India, uncertain, United Kingdom economic model, high tariff protectionism, friend shoring, decoupling from China military, NATO, AUKUS, Quad. Bloc 2, the Chinese Sphere Core, China, Russia, North Korea. Extensions, ASEAN countries, partially, Pakistan, Iran, some African and Latin American nations. Economic model, Belt and Road Initiative, trade in yuan. Digital yuan, military, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, bilateral agreements. Bloc 3, the stuck in the middle, swing states. WHO, Turkey, Brazil, Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, India, partially, most of Africa. Strategy, try to trade with both sides, be opportunistic. Risk, being forced to choose sides under pressure. So what does this mean? 1. More expensive products, supply chains are fragmenting. Companies are now looking for the safest supplier instead of the cheapest. Example, Apple is shifting iPhone production from China to India and Vietnam. But building these factories takes time. During the transition, production costs rise. Result, more expensive iPhones. 2. Less innovation. Globalization facilitated the exchange of ideas. An American company could benefit from chip manufacturers in Taiwan, assembly lines in China, and designers in Europe. Now this flow is being restricted between blocs. China is imposing restrictions on US tech companies. The US is banning high-tech exports to China. Result, slower innovation. Each bloc has to develop its own technology. CP13, geopolitical tension, economic interdependence encouraged peace, in theory. But now these ties are breaking. If China invades Taiwan, what does the US do? Military intervention? Maybe. But economically, the US is no longer that dependent on China. In 2010, this would have been catastrophic. In 2025, manageable, this makes conflict more likely. 4. Winners and losers. Winners: Vietnam, India, Mexico. They're benefiting from friend-shoring policies. Companies leaving China are coming to these countries. Commodity exporters: China and the US are building separate supply chains. This increases demand for raw materials. Losers: small countries. They have no bargaining power. Large blocs dictate terms to them. Consumers: more expensive products, fewer choices. The Global South, African and Latin American countries are being squeezed between 2 blocs. The question is globalization really dead? Or is this just a temporary retreat? Optimistic scenario. In 2028, a new US president is elected, more pragmatic. Makes a limited trade deal with China. Tariffs are lowered. The WTO is reformed. The world transitions to Globalization 2.0. More balanced, more fair. Realistic scenario. Bloc formation continues, but there's no complete decoupling. The world moves to a hybrid system, decoupling in critical sectors, semiconductors, batteries, pharmaceuticals. Limited trade continues in other sectors, consumer goods, services. Pessimistic scenario. A full Cold War 2.0. 2 separate internets. China already has one. 2 separate payment systems. 2 separate technology standards. And eventually, military conflict. Which will happen? History will tell. But one thing is certain. The borderless world of the 1990s is gone. In 2025, the world is at a turning point. The global trading system, built over 30 years, is collapsing. In its place, 3 blocs are rising: the American sphere, the Chinese sphere, and those stuck in between. This isn't just economics, it's geopolitical, it's ideological, and the consequences will be felt for a generation. More expensive products, less innovation, more tension, but perhaps a fairer system. Perhaps. The question is, who will win in this new world? And which bloc do you want to be in? The answers haven't been written yet, but they're starting to be.